Welcome to Builds with Blocks, a show centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. However, today we're taking a step back to look at more than just Mega. I'm your host, Colin Perkins. I'm joined by Tom Fishenden.
Yo.
Gabe Clem.
Hey, guys.
And John Friend.
Hello.
John is the head of Xbox. So you have to give me your title because I may have gotten it wrong. So the head of Halo, or merchandise at Halo?
Halo comes first. So head of Halo and Xbox consumer products.
Perfect. Okay.
There we go.
So he's graciously agreed to join us on a chat to just kind of dig in and talk about what he's been up to. You know, we're all excited about the Halo Infinite release. Our show, obviously, we do, Mega Constructs, and that's a big portion of this, of the merchandise and whatnot for Halo. John kind of oversees everything. So not only the Mega Constructs, but all the other stuff, the T-shirts and the collectibles, all that sort of stuff. So we're excited to dig in on that today. But first, before we dig into some of the questions, I did want to go around the horn. Normally we talk about our Mega Constructs, but I do want to go about and talk about the last piece of Halo gear you bought. What was the last thing that you picked up? Gabe, what's the last thing you picked up that was non-Mega?
Non-Mega Constructs Halo merchandise. It was either the Halo Infinite controller stand, the little Master Chief with the rocket on his back at Target, or before that, it was probably I got the SSD for the Xbox with the Master Chief print on it, and I even got the little Master Chief phone case.
Okay, look at this. Okay.
So I'm rocking.
Very
awesome.
Nice. Yeah, John's happy about that.
There
we go. Tom, how about you?
Well, as if the matching T-shirts weren't enough.
Also,
yes.
Go on.
I was gonna say, I have to say, there was a little bit of internal controversy about can we actually do this? Is this the right thing to do for Chief? Would he actually hold a controller or your phone? But it's one of my favorite products. I just love it.
Yeah.
It's so useful as well. Just having it off to the side of you.
Somebody's got to make a scaled controller that Chief would actually hold like that.
Yeah.
This giant controller. How amazing would that be?
We might have to think about that. I have some ideas.
I love it. Cool. So the last thing I bought was the Mangler. And it's in my closet still. I haven't broken it out, but it's a beautiful piece. I watched a review on somewhere online, and they gave high praise to that. So I went with that one, and excited to bust it out eventually and play it with my boys. Sweet. John, how about you? What's the last thing you bought?
That's
very nice.
Is that the camera bag?
No, this is the backpack. So this is the smaller of the backpacks. Yeah. I'll see. I don't know how this is going to show up on screen, but you'll notice you'll hopefully the inside.
Yeah.
I have looked longingly at that online before.
It's really nice, I gotta say. And there's some subtle touches on here. I'm trying to look for. We got the of course the 117 on the back.
Perfect.
I mean, I'm obviously in an incredibly lucky position, which I'm really grateful for, where I get to see and touch and take a lot of these things home.
Yeah.
But I make it a point, if it's something that I would use, then I make a point of buying them directly because I want to have the full consumer experience. And actually, even sometimes with our new gear shop, I want to see how I get the receipt. I want to see how it shows up in the package. Yeah. Is it damaged? Does the package feel special at all? Mm-hmm. And so I back ordered a couple of the bags from Hex, and I love it because I'm starting to go into the office at least once or twice a week now.
Okay.
And the thing's fantastic, and it's and it's also cracks me up because you go out in the world and people. It's a subtle bag, but people get it immediately. Halo.
Yep. Yeah. See, I like that subtleness too, because there are some pieces from Halo that are in your face, right? That's all over the place.
Yeah.
Chief,
Master Chief.
And some people aren't ready for that, right? Some people want to go subtle. I'm more of a
ease them in touch. Softly.
Right. Exactly. So, except for my Atriac shirt.
I was gonna say that Rock Band shirt. Though, I love that one.
All right, so let's dive into a little bit about your history with Halo itself. We usually start with a little Halo, and then we talk Mega Constructs, but I think we'll just talk about just Halo gear and your history with Microsoft. So, when did you start playing Halo, or did you start playing Halo before you joined 343?
I did actually. I started with CE.
Oh, nice.
Of all the weird things, I won a fantasy football pool with some of my buddies.
Yeah.
And so just had some money that I hadn't budgeted for and used that to buy the Xbox when it first launched.
Okay.
And so if you were there at the beginning, like what game were you going to play? I mean, I'd be lying if I said like I had some master plan here.
Right.
But so I was there at the beginning. And then, I mean, it's funny. The truth of the matter is, like I look back, it's different when you're working on it.
Sure. Yeah. Totally get it. Mm-hmm.
So now, like for me, CE just holds a special place because that's the one where you got to see the sky and that view and that expansive world.
Right.
And I never imagined at that point in time that video games was even a thing I could work in.
Yeah.
So anyway, that one holds a special place in my heart.
So you started. So when did you start at 343 then? So you have the history with Halo. You played that. You get to experience that like the rest of us. What kind of got you in the door there?
I've been a little bit more than 7 years at 343. So I joined.
Nice.
I worked at Cartoon Network once upon a time.
Yeah.
Helped build up the consumer products business there. Decided I really wanted to be in video games because that was funny because I was working in cartoons. I'm like, video games are the future. And ended up getting a chance to work, sort of combine my background plus my interest and worked at Lucasfilm for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Literally my first day on the job there, my boss comes in and is like, hey, there's some people from Microsoft here. Maybe you should take this project. And so I ended up, I got to know people at Xbox that may or may not have turned into a Kinect game, which we probably shouldn't discuss today. But anyway,
yes. But I held on my Kinect for a long time, by the way.
I got to know.
I did find a buyer. I found a new home.
And one thing led to another a few years later, and I ended up moving up to the Seattle area and working at Xbox. And inside Xbox, I actually didn't start at 343. I was working on, I was looking at like what are new game types and like non-traditional businesses we could get in.
Yeah.
Actually worked on Xbox Fitness for a while, which is fascinating to learn like an entirely radically new business. Mm-hmm. And then I bumped into the Halo team, and we just shared so much in common. And I've always loved I've loved the universe as much, like universes. I've been a sci-fi fantasy nerd since I could read and or watch or whatever. And so I got to know that team, and it was again just sort of mutual attraction. Moved over to 343, and now I've been there, I guess, more than 7 years. I'm trying to put years on it.
Right, I know time flies, doesn't it?
I'm dating myself here.
Well, it's good. You're a vet. I like that. So I have a couple ways I could go. I do want to know your favorite Halo game. Like, do you have a favorite? I was just about
to ask.
CE. It's hard to say no to your first, right?
Yep.
Has anything else surpassed that for you?
It's funny. I like them all, but I'm kind of jaundiced now. Jaundiced might be the wrong word. Jaded. Sorry, jaundiced.
There we go.
I'm not turning to yellow. Actually, I'm looking a little red. I look at my webcam and it makes me stressed out. I'm just like, oh God, I look like a lobster. So for me, actually, Halo is about the memories more than anything. And through this weird pandemic year, some of my kids ended up spending a good chunk of time at home with us. And I played Reach with my oldest son. So if you ask me today, actually Reach is my favorite just because like that was actually sitting side by side, literally on the couch, as you do, playing the game.
Yeah, that's
just
right.
Awesome.
Yep. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Is it really is the experience. If you can have that couch co-op experience, so there's so many people that have gone back, right? And just like I know Tom's right now, he's going back and playing with a buddy of his,
slowly replaying all of them.
Yeah, exactly. And so just having that experience, enjoying the Halo universe that you talked about is just, I mean, one of the reasons that ropes us all in is this extended universe, this place that we all just enjoy losing ourselves in, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. What else do you guys have anything else that you want to ask real quick before we dive into kind of the Halo gear questions? Tom, do you have anything?
I'm eager to dive in. Gabe, if you've got anything, feel free to chime in now.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk more. You telling me about, playing with your kids on Halo Reach, it reminded me of, because that's the same reason that Halo 3 is my favorite game, is because the Christmas that it came out, my brother got the limited edition 360 for Christmas, and he and I sat on my parents' couch for 4 hours that day playing the campaign together. That's been my favorite Halo game since the day it released when I was 8 years old.
That's cool. Yeah, lots of good memories. It's a great universe to explore, and we're so happy that continues on, right? We're all rooting for you guys because we all love this this universe that you've created for us. So why don't you talk about a little bit before we go into I guess specifics of the gear? I think a lot of us are curious about I guess just your role at 343. We talked about kind of how you found the role, but what do you do on a day-to-day basis? As you live in this merchandise world for Halo.
So broadly speaking, we're responsible for all of the physical products that you can find on web stores or out in traditional retail. And it literally runs the gamut from socks through statues.
Yeah.
Yes.
Controllers and high-end collectibles. And even, and obviously I got a chance to see you all a couple times, ticketed experiences. So it's sort of this full suite of things beyond the game. Mm-hmm. And so, day to day for me is a combination of, getting to think about what's the long-term roadmap. Where do we want to go? Do we have the right capabilities on the team? And then diving into specific questions about, and it could be everything from where are fashion trends going?
Yeah.
To how do we set up the right partnership to, how did we miss that? Or why are we getting this feedback over here? Or have we thought about this other thing? So it's, I love it because, and no joke, I've learned more in my career about the sock industry than I ever knew that I would want to. But it's, everything from, dyeing and where fabric is going, to manufacturing techniques, to fashion trends, to how you structure partnerships, to listening to communities and fans. So I just love it because it gets to be a ton of different things.
Yeah.
And it's all fundamentally about how do we actually bring that universe to life, which again, I can go back to as a kid, reading Lord of the Rings movies and Robert Heinlein books. And sadly, I'm dating myself big time, but all the way through video games and film. And I remember going to the first Star Wars when I was a kid and completely freaking me out because my older brother was like, we got to go. And I was afraid of the Tusken Raiders. And it's kind of all that stuff melded into one. And thankfully we've got an amazing team and also a history of doing this too. So it's not like I'm in there doing any of this by myself. It's just I get a chance to be a part of it.
So what is that's a good overview, but what's the mission, so you guys set out to make great merchandise for your Halo fans, or is it more than that, or kind of how do you approach your product development?
This is good timing because we're in planning season at Microsoft. So I've actually been working on trying to make the mission statements more clear. So I'll preview the latest iteration with you, here for the first time.
You just read us the slide.
Oh boy, here we go.
We're working on the slide. So it's earn fans plus make money equals create joy. And so the three components there are, we use the word earn very specifically because it's not fans aren't magically created. We have to make sure that we're creating a universe that's worthy of admiration, giving people on-ramps to get interested, giving people who are existing fans ways to deepen their love, and giving people, and Tom, kudos to you, giving people gear so that then they can showcase and share that love with others. So that's the earn fans bucket. Yeah. The make money bucket is not like, hey, we're out there, like we just got to go make crazy tons of money. But we operate in a world where we want to create physical products. Microsoft is not in the business of manufacturing, right? Yeah. Or we don't manufacture lots of things. So we need to work to create a healthy partner ecosystem. Yeah. So that we can help get this stuff out there. Like I can't get all this out there. Like I would love to just give all this to you.
You can't mass market the giant controller that we talked about, right?
Yeah. I mean,
unless we have partners who are like, hey, Halo's a big thing. I could manufacture this amazing backpack. So it's that second point is we operate it as a business, not because we're trying to. That's not the why. That's the how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the why is actually to create joy, and that is basically it's like you guys are amazing. You love this stuff. You live it. You talk about it. Lots of people watch you to learn more about it. And that's ultimately what we're here for is like, how do we create more joy and expand the universe? And then you look at all the levers we have to do that. We just launched a new book, so we can expand stories.
Yeah.
We can give people gear that they can wear on camera so that they can share their love for the game. We can, bingo. We can help you hold your phone.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, so it's like it's all those things. So that's kind of the overall mission, and our goal is to create, help create bigger fan communities, create more fans, help fans get deeper into it, and ultimately just expand on this universe that we love.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What do you guys think of the slide? Is that I didn't present it to you.
No, I mean.
No, that's good. I think it's great to have that down on. Obviously, all businesses have some sort of a mission and drive. I think one thing I was going to follow up on was because it's the last part of that is to create joy, right? And it's how is it to see the community enjoy? You're helping produce the joy. And you're giving us things to enjoy, but how is it from your perspective to see people interact with it? And there's obviously the good. And then there is the bad, and I don't want to dive on that sort of stuff. But when you guys are monitoring the community and stuff like that, how is that? What from your perspective? How is it to kind of see that community out there and like just doing their own thing? Like we created this podcast, because of Halo and the merchandise, right, that we love, and you didn't ask us to do that. We just did it on our own because we enjoy it. So just interested to hear like your perspective, or I don't know if there's a larger perspective from 343 on that community aspect.
I think it's shared, and I can't tell you how unbelievably gratifying it is when you see people loving something that you've poured, blood, sweat, and tears into. And look, I can tell you, I'd love to tell you that what we do in this world that I live in called consumer products is the hardest, but like, dear God, the people who are making our core engine, which are the games, they are pouring themselves into it, and they're, and do we make mistakes? Certainly on my team, I make mistakes all the time. I'm not going to speak for my team because I'm the one who leads people astray with my crazy ideas. But like, are we perfect? No. But like when you see people love things that you've helped create or bring to life, it just lights you up. It's unbelievable. And ultimately, it is about, we want our community happy, meaning our existing community, and then we want more. We want you guys to feel so great about it that you're bringing more people in. We want new people getting involved, and so it really does, like, it lights you up.
Yeah, it's cool. You've had these people that have loved, and I think again, I don't want to dwell on negativity, but people love the franchise, and so when things don't go the way that they expect, then that's when they kind of they react a different way, and it's coming from a point of passion, right? So,
totally.
So
If
it's
people-
got to be, I'm
Yes.
sure you have to spin it that way when you're receiving that criticisms.
It can be hard, but we also got to listen. I think there's a lot of open-mindedness. People listen, and then also sometimes you have to make decisions, and not everybody's going to love every decision you make. But generally speaking, we try and be as thoughtful as we can and make the best decisions we can, and then listen and learn.
Right. Yep.
I think that's one of the more meaningful things is that you all are listening, because I've seen both sides of the community. I've seen a lot of negativity. I've seen a lot of positivity. I've seen a lot of people asking questions, and seeing you all with all these new products, all the, even the style of these new products, it shows that you're actually, you're listening to the community and you're taking their input seriously. And I think that means a lot more to people, probably more than anything else does, just that they're being heard, and what they say about a franchise that they like so much, actually, that it matters.
It takes a lot of energy to give negative feedback. So frankly, I take it super positively, in the sense that if somebody feels that strongly about something that we did or didn't do right, then ultimately that's coming from a place of passion, which is great.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes, it's hard to hear. Maybe it's not always expressed the way you want it, but I mean, I can tell you goofy stuff. We're always working on, or I hear back, especially fans outside the U.S. Sometimes we don't have enough of our products on shelf in the right kind of places. They're like, hey, why do they get this? But I haven't even seen, the second series of these figures yet, or whatever. We're not trying to not do that. Sometimes just the reality of where we're getting picked up in certain things, or, shipping issues. Every now and then we're doing we're working to try and make sure that we can offer fans products directly. Right. Have we solved for shipping perfectly? No. Are we working on it? Yes.
Right.
And along the way, sometimes we screw stuff up.
I think it says a lot that you're willing to have those kind of candid conversations about that, though, because I know with a lot of the other franchises that I collect, I don't want to narrow it down to one, because I don't want to give that example in case they're listening as well. But no, with a lot of the other things that I collect, there isn't that conversation there, so it's quite frustrating. But I found that with you guys, you're just quite open and transparent about that. And then that's the same with the guys at Jazzwares, the guys at Mega. It feels like everyone around these products cares so much about them that they're willing to go out and have those conversations. And I feel like with a lot of consumer products, you don't get that. So it's nice to have that transparency.
Yeah.
It's a real blessing as an organization that we get to be so deeply embedded with, in some big entertainment companies, the consumer products groups are often quite separate from the creative process.
Yeah.
And the fact that we get to be sort of embedded with and really deeply allied with or aligned with, I think makes a difference. And frankly, that's a lot of why I wanted to be in games and gaming, because do I want to do well and show off big numbers and show that we're in lots of countries and stuff? Sure, from a career point of view.
Yeah, of course.
But what lights me up is actually what you asked about before. When somebody cares enough about our products to do a podcast about them, or to wear them, or to or to go somewhere to meet up with other fans, it's unbelievable. And it's that is so much more valuable. And that is really, that's, what we're about.
Yeah.
Or what we want to be about.
Right. Yeah. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about your team. And so you've kind of given us your purview, your kind of oversight. But let's talk a little bit about, what your other team members do. And I think, we're interested in, obviously, the guy that helps with the Mega stuff. But then I'm sure then you have a whole team that works on all the different, merchandise that you work on. Is it kind of like one person per type of product, or kind of how does that work?
We're set up into, there are two ways to think about it. So we have three major types of people. So there's a team of people that is about the licensing and the partnerships themselves.
Okay.
So it's responsible for our overall business relationships with our partners like Mattel or Mega. We have a team of people that's responsible for marketing and community and direct to consumer. And so, and they're obviously about making sure that we're taking feedback in, but we're also sharing information out. And then there's a team of people who works directly to develop the products with our partners. And that creative team, that's where you have, specialists who work on Mega and other toy lines. But you also have folks who have more graphic and, fashion design backgrounds who work on apparel and printed goods and or publishing and stories. So we do have a set of people who really specialized by the kind of outlet or product that we're aiming for. Because you got to know the intricacies of it. You got to understand if you're working with a company that's ultimately going to have to manufacture something, how do you make sure that you get that color correct into a resin for a plastic?
Right.
That sort of thing.
Yeah. So can you take us through one of those relationships and kind of how that conversation goes? Is it, we've had conversations with Mega in the past, and they said, well, we get the opportunity to go pitch stuff, like they've been working with you for a while, but they're like, we came up with these ideas, and then you guys are like, yeah, that's great, or well, we can't quite do that one. Does it work like that with everybody, or kind of what is that back and forth?
So I'll give you the general example, and then there are varieties off it. But generally speaking, we'll have an idea that we want to be in a certain space. So I would love to talk about construction products, but we've been doing that for over a decade. So
right, you want to go somewhere new.
Maybe that's not the perfect example, but in the I don't know. I'll make something up. So I got something on my desk. I got a mug. We're like, hey, you know what? We want to be in housewares, and we know that we have a big game launch company coming. So we know that mass retailers are going to be interested in our property. So then we go look for who are the best companies that make those kind of products, who has good retail distribution. We talk to them about what's big about our franchise and why we have an opportunity and what we're looking for with them. And then they present us insights about, hey, here's what's happening in the space. Here's how we would approach it from a design perspective. And then it ends up being an iterative process. So in the case of Mega, which is more appropriate to the point, our job is to be experts on what's happening in the Halo universe and where we're going long term. That doesn't mean that we don't have people who understand construction very well, because we do. But ultimately, our job is to brief them on what's coming and what do we think the big, either story beats or thematic changes are, or marketing moments or whatever. They tell us what's happening in the toy industry, what their new manufacturing capabilities are, what they're seeing in terms of what they're hearing in terms of fan feedback too. And then they will present to us, we'll present thematically where we would like to go, and they'll come back and present to us product ideas, and we'll iterate on those together to come up with a new product line. Can
you give us any insight on just for example, because we know Nerf is new. Yes. Like, had that one been worked on for a long time? Because you were working with Boomco, I believe, before in a similar space. Yeah. Or did all of a sudden Nerf say, yeah, well, the new game's coming out, so we know that it's gonna, it's a good time to partner. Can you give us any insight on that?
I mean, lead times in our world tend to be pretty long. So we had been working on that, I think in, 2018, 2019, we started looking forward towards the next wave of Halo.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, we're going to have some big blockbuster moments here. And, what are the natural spaces that we want to be in that are right for our universe?
Yeah.
And frankly, Nerf play is A, awesome and fun. B, perfectly aligns with a lot of what you do. And it actually, you could literally bring elements of Halo to life in the real world. We know we've heard our fans, they love it, because we did some limited stuff before. And so that's a case where we went to Nerf and said, hey, there's a real
It's time.
opportunity here.
Yeah.
Right.
Gaming's
This could be
huge.
big.
Halo's huge. You've got a great business. We want to be a part of it, and so we've been working on that one for a couple of years before it all started coming out, where you guys started to see it and get a chance to bring it home.
That's cool.
It's nerf for
And
nothing.
then, I mean, is it a big relief? Or I guess, how was that feeling when you finally see people buying it or on shelf and things like that? Like, because you've been working on it for a while, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's scary sometimes. It's in that case, you kind of know it's going to work because it's just too awesome to not work.
Yeah, right.
But then you also want to be successful and be a priority because they're also doing lots of other big things. And so,
Yeah.
like I can tell you when that one came out, I think our initial pre-order was, I won't give you the exact specifics, but it was certainly one of their top pre-orders they've ever done. You know, when we first, when we first announced. So like we're
They
thrilled.
are.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're May 40. Yeah.
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 I run around
So-
my house with that thing all the time.
Shooting the dog, right?
Yeah, and that's a case where, again, like, we're lucky. We have people like you who will let us know what you're hearing and also what you see or what you want.
Mhm.
Those toy companies, for example, we're talking about Hasbro and Mega, they have designers who love games, who love gaming, who play a ton of games. They'll be like, here's what we want to do, or here's what we're capable of now. We can do these teeny tiny things, we can do these massive things, or we can do specialized things. And, you know, e-commerce grows, that allows us to do more specialized things or higher priced items that might not sit at your traditional sort of big box retailer. So they give us a ton of ideas. And then we get to go off and riff on it with our internal teams too. So it always ends up being, you know, there's always a bunch of different, you know, sort of inputs flowing into these processes.
Was the Moa Burger Pringles part of your oversight?
Here it comes.
No, not directly, but
That felt like marketing.
It's so we have a partnerships team who works with companies. But yeah, keep an eye out. Let's see, next Tuesday. I know this will be broadcast later, but since we're filming this, keep an eye out next Tuesday. We're gonna celebrate it a little bit on our own.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I like it.
I'm not even kidding. My dad he woke me up this morning with a text saying, "Hey, did you know Halo is making Pringles?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're Moa Pringles." And he was like, "What is a Moa burger?" And I was like, "Dad, we'll talk about it when you're older. It's all right. It's all right."
Here's the thing, like, the concept's amazing, but like, it's like these little threads, right? Like, you know, a Moa burger could be somebody's on ramp to the Halo universe, right? Like, they could figure out what they could start a Google search and then just go down that rabbit hole, right? And,
I think I might start another podcast, you know?
I like it. All right, let us talk. Another thing I'm interested in, it's kind of along these lines, is how closely do you work with 343 leadership? So, like, does Bonnie need to approve all this stuff, or, you know, are you working with Frank here and there? How does that work?
Very closely. Short answer, we work incredibly closely with the leadership team, but also with, like, on a detailed basis with the game team. So for example, like, every Monday afternoon, folks from our product development team will meet with the franchise team, which is Frank's team, and representatives from the different game teams, creatives and producers, to review. We actually just walked through with them the concepts for the fall 2022 Mega line.
Right. Yep.
Which I'm not talking to you about today.
They do exist.
It's all right. It's all right.
So,
they're a thought.
So on a weekly basis, we're engaging with people from artists to art directors to producers to franchise, sort of franchise team. My boss is Kiki Wolfkill. She's responsible for all of transmedia, so she's always in the loop. I'd love to tell you that Bonnie looks at every individual product, and she does, usually on a quarterly basis, we'll go through a big review where we'll show her everything that's cooking. She also has some bigger fish to fry, and frankly, I'd like to say, as I pat my, that's me patting my team on the back, but we've been doing good work for a while, and so we have a good amount of freedom to just go do things, and then within broad parameters. We're not going to go make something crazy up and go into a whole new space without mentioning it to her. I don't know. We're not. I'm trying to think of something crazy. We're not going to start, selling, Halo cactuses and start and invest in a giant farm.
Yeah. Right.
Without talking to Bonnie about it. But broadly speaking, if we're going
Halo
from
cactuses.
I don't know. Sorry. I use ridiculous examples just to make the point. It's just my thing. But if we're going to go from t-shirts to button-down shirts, as another goofy example, and I'm not promising that, by the way, nor should I.
Take
but
everything literally.
But that's the case where we just go do it, and along the way, obviously we'd be reviewing it with other folks, and then once a quarter or so, we'd give her a sense of, hey, we're going to look at expanding over here because we want to be involved in this geography or this particular market.
I'm going to ask one more follow-up question, and then I'll finally let the other guys talk. Has there been a case where they've suggested something, or they've had an idea, like, I really want you to go pursue this, that you I don't know, not necessarily a certain sense of urgency, but like you did look into and you made happen? Or is it usually, you're presenting stuff up to, or, not necessarily presented up because you said you have a sense of freedom, but is it normally just you're pursuing the things that make sense, show them, they're like, yeah, that's cool, and then move on?
Some of both.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of examples, but it happens often. I mean, we'll get great ideas from, Frank will ping something that he sees on the internet. Somebody on the game team will be like, hey, I love this thing. Or I like this kind of gaming, or what, we have a broad strategy, but we are always trying to take input.
But you're collaborating internally. That's great. Yeah, that's 100%. Cool.
Love but honestly, that's what, game development is a team sport. There's nothing happens in this world without a lot of people, chipping in.
Yep.
And that includes our stuff too.
Cool. Well, I've been talking a lot. Gabe, do you want to ask a question at all? You have something burning?
Yeah. I mean, I do have a thought before we continue about, certain products. Is there any one, obviously, that has been released that posed a specific challenge, that was actually it was really hard to work on to get it to a spot where the team actually was like, yeah, we're happy with this, let's release it? Is there anything like that?
I mean, there are a lot of things like that. I mean, the reality is we may not get everything perfect, but we have really high standards, and we're always trying to push ourselves and push our partners and get feedback from other groups internally. So we're really hands-on with all our products. I tell you, it's especially when we're getting into a new space where things get hard. Like examples I was thinking of this morning. We had a Loot Crate subscription service for a while.
Right.
And there are elements of that. There are elements of that I loved. But it was hard because it's like, okay, how are we going to make sure we have enough content to do 6 of these over the course of a year? And do we feel good about the individual providers who are coming on to make the individual components? I can tell you, and I know I met 2 of the 3 of you specifically at these events, but when we worked on Outpost Discovery, that was brutally hard because we were literally trying to bring the universe to life.
Yeah, I remember talking with Tyler.
And it's not easy.
He said it's tough.
Yeah. And all for good reasons. It's because we all care a lot. We want to make sure we're doing things right and good. But when you're getting into a new space and you're working with a new partner, and you have to understand all of the requirements, it can be challenging. And so you get into new business lines, it's usually a lot harder.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because the dollars and cents have to make sense at the end of the day too. It could be a cool concept, like the Loot Crate thing. I signed up for that thing right away, and but then it's you also have to push out meaningful content that people are going to want to continue to add to their collections, right? Not just something that it just says Halo on it. You should like that, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm sure and we've probably done that sometimes, but we try really hard not to.
Yeah.
We want any product to have a real reason to exist.
Yeah. Tom, do you have anything?
It might be a bit of a hard one to answer, but I'm kind of interested because I know there's been a lot of stuff, especially this past year, with kind of more unique things like jewellery, for example, that we would never usually see. So I wondered if there's been any like really unique partnership that stands out in your mind as something that you're really glad that you got the opportunity to do. Always hitting them with the hard questions.
I am particularly proud of and excited about the things that the limited volume, we call them collabs internally.
Yeah.
Right.
Where we're working with a really specialist partner and trying to bring out a really narrow focused thing that is surprising and interesting to fans. And a lot of times we try not specifically, like we don't want to do this in massive volume because we want it to be special and limited.
Mm-hmm.
So I love, some of the things we did last year. I know that we did a super limited program. I think it was 117 shirts with Billionaire Boys Club.
Gosh.
And James Monosmith on my team showed me a tweet the other day of somebody who had framed the shirt and put it on his wall, and just how proud he was to have. Because again, there's not a lot of those in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love that, because part of what we want to do is one of our goals actually is we want to surprise you, meaning you all, you three, and anybody who's watching this.
Yeah.
We want to surprise you with the interesting places where we can take the brand and either elevate it or surprise you or do something a little bit different. It's still got to be right. Like it can't, like we don't want to go too crazy. But I'm really proud of the thinking that's going into expanding in that direction.
Cool.
So I'm super proud of that, but I'm also proud, like, honestly, just some of the day-to-day stuff. Tom, I know we've chatted about this before in different formats and different social media, but we've done a crazy lot of work to make sure that we are on shelf,
Yeah.
at as broadly as possible. Because in between games, frankly, we hadn't been on shelf as broadly as we wanted to be in some markets. And so, one of the things I'm super proud of, the energy sword that we did with Mega at Target.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome product. Collector focused, meaning it's like, hey, kids can love it, but that's targeted at people who are willing to spend a little bit more money, spend a little bit more time. It's not the easiest build, premium packaging, premium product. And you do all those things right, and guess what? One of the toy buyers at Target, that's like a toy of the year for 2020. They loved it. They did incredibly well with it, and now that opens the door for us to do more things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You guys will have to speculate. I'm not going to tell you what's coming next.
That's a whole other episode right there.
But I'm super proud of, hey, we can do super limited stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also incredibly proud of the work that we've done, like the basic hard work we've done with Mega and their teams and all our teams to make sure we are like much more broader and more accessible in the world. Yeah. And that's not just about making sure we have lots of stuff out there. Sometimes it's about making sure we have great stuff out there that just kicks ass. And that energy sword, I think, is a perfect example of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
and
absolutely.
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
I can't describe to you that feeling of like seeing stuff popping up on Amazon here in the UK again, like being able to just order stuff. Or a good example for me, one of my Jurassic friends, he buys through the Mattel portal because he's got a Jurassic toy shop that sells loads of dinosaur figures. And he said to me, I don't know if you know, but Halo's popping up again. I'm going to be stocking it. And at that moment, I was just like, it's happening. Trying not to lose it with excitement. So it's really awesome seeing all of that kind of come into fruition now.
Yeah,
well,
I love
Colin,
seeing
you were
the
asking
stuff.
before about how do we develop products. I can tell you in some cases, like the Pelican, that was something where the designers at Mega watched the first trailer on Infinite and were just so inspired by everything that they saw. Yeah, where they're like, we got to do this. And then as they got into it, part of what they educated us on, frankly, is that like for bigger sets, fans want to build them, but they also want to be able to display them. and they want to be able to display them in multiple ways, which again, I should be sensitive to, but we weren't necessarily thinking about it there.
Yeah.
And so like, hey, we can do this we can build this in a way so that it is fantastic and beautiful to build, big scale, tells a story with the characters that are in it, but also, by the way, you can use it as a play set if you're a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Or because it can open up the way it does, it also creates a ton of different ways where you can display it, post it, stream about it, whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's a case where the partner's coming to us and saying, here's how we want to take this. And honestly, I remember that meeting. We were actually in Montreal when they first presented that concept to us, and we were just grinning because we're like, yes, like that just brings it to life.
Yeah.
I was so
that
happy
shows their partnership, like their expertise. They know what the audience wants.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they kind of explained it to you, and you're like, yes, that makes total sense, right? And then everybody knew it was going to be a masterpiece, and this thing's amazing. I got it sitting right over here next to me.
Yeah, got it on the shelf.
I just remember the one thing I said to you when we got to hang out was, I want a minifigure of the Pelican pilot. And then I saw it in the Pelican and I was like, they did it. Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Just because we are, we got minifigures and we just, we talk about that as a part of our sets and the experiences. Your team, there's all these characters. It's Halo. It's this deep universe, right? Like, how do you have that conversation with not only Mega, but your other like Jazzwares and the other, the action figures side of things? You're like, yeah, you can talk about this character. Like Jega just came up, right? So he can be he's an action figure, but we don't have a couple other action figures. Are you a part of those conversations, or is that more like Frank's team and the Jeff Easterlings of the world?
It's our team that drives them, and then we obviously involve Jeff and Frank and franchise folks. But first, you got to have. It's not easy. It's a complex planning process. It's like you got to look at a bunch of things. First of all, you got to start with what's our overall roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
The games are our engine. So what are the big moments in our game? When are characters going to be, if it's a new character, when are people going to know about them? Or do we want to kind of tease them so people can be excited to learn more about them later?
Mm-hmm.
We have a 20th anniversary coming up. Okay, well, what are like monumental, sort of, what are the top characters ever in Halo history?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to think about it when we're rolling out toy lines, and like we've been doing this with Mega forever. What are there, 15, 20 potentially different figures between the micro action figures, the heroes, the figures that come in sets per season? So you got to have a grid to think about, okay, which ones make sense with certain sets? Mm-hmm. How do we make sure that over multiple years we're creating an opportunity for people to like chase things down or create a set or make something really special in a certain year? And so like, there's a bunch of different, like there's some serious like planning and spreadsheet work, et cetera, to make sure that you're doing the best you can, meeting fans' interest, but not meeting too much of the fans' interest, because then you want to be able to come back in 2022 with some more stuff.
Have another one,
and you want it to either connect to a moment like a 20th anniversary or a game launch or the 15th anniversary of one of the games within the series. So there's all those things flow into one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the fun and frustrating thing, right, about it is like you want to give the community what they want on certain aspects, like more, more official characters, but you got to hold back a little bit too, so.
Yep. Well, and honestly, I love it because it's like, and we'll do a big, a line review for a major program like Mega, and we'll spend time really going through every product in it. And, I'm not the expert. Rick, for example, who I know you guys will hopefully talk to in an upcoming session, Rick Hochberger on our team has been working with Mega for forever. And there are other folks on our team and Frank's team who know every character inside and out. But I love getting a chance to poke and prod on it because I get interested in how do you make sure you're balancing hero characters versus alien characters thematically. Like, are you properly representing different eras of Halo fandom? Because we want people to be excited about the newest, but we also want fans who've been around since Halo 3 to maybe find something that they're excited about. And even from a product point of view, do we have a right blend of colors, for example? Like you want to make sure
Sure.
that in any one year, you've got different figures with this you've got distinct color palettes. So you can tell characters from each other. We don't want them all to be, we don't want every single figure to look like Master Chief. Not that
Right.
Master Chief's not the best and the baddest, right? But you want to so there's a ton of different dimensions. It's a blast.
Yeah, that's why you throw like the red figure. Was it a Mark 7 in this year? So anyway, yeah, it makes sense.
Right.
So they look good on shelf together as a collection, as a wave, as we talk about them, right? Yeah. There's a lot of intricacies. That's cool.
That's the exact same logic I use, like making custom minifigures. Is I'll take a look at my page, and if I see too much green or too much blue, I'll be like, okay, I got to do a yellow or a red or something. Like you just have to make sure that it's all blends together, so you have a good variety.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, we only got a little time left. Why don't we go maybe some more fun, higher level stuff? So can you tell us what is the best-selling Halo item of all time? Do you have like a big spreadsheet with like giant numbers that just keep racking up?
Sorry, I'm checking my notes. I got to make sure I don't mess anything up.
Yeah.
So the best-selling is easy. There are two ways to cut it. Micro action figures with Mega.
Yes.
By volume, by number of products sold, and I'm including Halo Heroes and things like that in there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We've been doing those over a decade. So in terms of volume, those are our top. And actually, I love it because that's a lot of what differentiates our line.
Mm-hmm.
But it's rooted in what's great for the universe, because you do have all the different armors and you do have all the different weapons and you do have all the different aliens. So like, I think it both makes sense, quote unquote, strategically, but it makes sense. It makes sense heart and mind, I guess.
Well, right. I mean, we talked about onboarding somebody. I remember, I tell a story about I grabbed Sergeant Forge from one of those boxes way back when.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want that one. I like Forge, and this is when I started collecting, and I put him on my desk at work, and then all of a sudden I grabbed a drop pod, and then the other day I grabbed something else, and it's like an onboard.
They're getting pelicans.
Yep. And the other thing I'll say, a little bit tongue in cheek, but Halo Fall of Reach. So a lot of people don't realize that actually we were a book before we were a video game. So
it came out prior to the game.
So I'm not going to pretend that we're responsible for the game being successful. Maybe the game had a little bit to do with creating the swim lane for the rest of us.
Right.
But I got to give a shout out to Fall of Reach too.
Yeah. Yeah, and you guys have done lots of Reach stuff over the years, which has been great. I mean, it deserves the homage, right? For sure. Yeah. So anything else on top that is worth noting besides the micro action figures?
We've done a good number of Warthogs. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Warthogs are always big. But I mean, like really in terms of top sort of volume selling, I think the figures are the things to point out.
Yeah.
I feel incredibly thankful to you all as fans and to all our fans, because I could go crazy and listing Master Chief costumes have consistently been one of the top boys costume in the U.S. for like 5 years in a row now.
I
you know what I mean? Over quote unquote, lots of big famous, comic book or theatrical characters, right?
Right.
So we got success stories in a ton of different dimensions that I'm super excited about.
Yeah, my oldest, he was 6 at the time. He bought unaided by Dad. He knows I like Halo, but unaided, he bought the Mark 7, the red Spartan for Halloween this year. I was just like, yes.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, it was very good. That's good to hear. And just in general, I love walking into a store and seeing Halo again. It's just such a cool feeling to know that we're out there, we're on the same shelves that Marvel's on, that Jurassic Park's on, all those other big names.
I'm so happy you said Jurassic Park. You know me too
that was
well,
for you.
Colin.
That was for you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what about the other end? What did you think? Either you thought or you were hopeful for that ended up just didn't do quite so hot.
I don't know that I can pick on. It's like, well, okay, which of your children are you most upset with at the moment, right? we've mistimed some stuff, which is too bad.
Sure.
Even like, I mean, I'm so thrilled with what we're doing with Nerf.
Yeah.
But I was pretty proud of what we did with Boomco too, and actually I think one of the reasons Nerf liked us was they were like, you know what, you guys did something interesting there, and that surprised us. You know, but unfortunately, from a timing point of view, like a couple of those things that we did at that point in time ended up coming out a little bit after Halo 5. So from a timing point of view, we didn't really line up the big presence with the big blockbuster moment.
Yeah, and that's probably got to be part of the challenge of the job, because like you said, things take a while, right? And you probably did your best to get it in place, and just didn't work out, right?
Yeah. So, you know, there's things that you miss on, or things that you don't time right. But big picture, there's nothing that stands out. I think I mentioned to you before we started recording. The thing I miss the most is not that this isn't awesome, but I miss seeing you all in person. Because that energy and that ability to have conversations and that ability to hear feedback, even if it's not always the best live and in person, it's just radically different. And so the thing that I wish we were doing this summer, you know, is getting out on the road again, like we got to a couple of years ago with Outpost Discovery. You know, and hopefully, you know, the world heals up. And you know, we get a chance to do things like that again in the future. There's nothing, and I'm not teasing anything here. There's nothing immediate on the roadmap. We got a lot of. I mean, there's a game that's got to launch. Like, there's a lot of big things the studio's taking on right now.
A lot of important.
But certainly in terms of something I miss, that's something I miss. You know, even E3 last year.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But then I guess I was going to just say, in that same vein, I suppose it's exciting because obviously you've got Infinite coming up, you've got the TV show, which will hopefully be, again, another big onboarding point for a lot of new fans. So then with all of that stuff, obviously you get new opportunities to explore how you engage them as well.
Yes, 100%. I think it's a really exciting time. I mean, you look at everything that's coming this year and hopefully next year. And frankly, I like... And I apologize for drinking the Kool-Aid and being a little bit of a nerd, but I'm so happy with and excited about where Xbox is going. I mean, Game Pass is ridiculous. It's such a huge service.
It's insane.
The fact that we're going to be available there day and date with launch, the fact that we're going to be on PCs, you know, the fact that there's going to be free-to-play elements, like selfishly, and hopefully you guys feel this too, but you know, and I'm going back to my PowerPoint roots here, the addressable audience, like the number of people that we could potentially get interested in Halo over the next couple of years, it's huge.
You could say it's awesome. Infinite.
I didn't.
He uses that on every episode, by the way.
It's a little bit overused at this point, a little bit.
So what do you want to, so we're going to wrap, but is there anything you want to leave us with, like what to look out for? There's stuff on shelves. We talked about Moa Burger stuff. You know, we talked about, you know, the Nerf partnership. Anything else we should be, you know, readying our wallets for, or, you know, keep an eye out for?
Please help.
So, working with Mega Bloks, 20th anniversary set.
Yes.
Something special, which by the time this podcast airs, you will have seen the first reveal on.
We are very excited about that.
Let me see, what else do I have? I jotted down. We dropped a little Toymation teaser with Wicked Cool Toys today.
Yes,
that was so cool.
And I really like what they're doing with their World of Halo, and you know, the different sizes and scales we're getting off there.
Yeah,
I love that scale.
There's a lot of new toys coming this year, obviously. We're deep in planning. Frankly, we're already deep in planning for 2022. And I'm really excited about the level of passion, commitment, excitement, and investment we're seeing from our partners, which is a direct reflection of the kind of feedback that they're getting from you and also from retailers. And so I think you're going to see us continue to expand in a couple of different dimensions, which I'm like super geeked out about.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna do some crazy high-end stuff this year, which is just gonna be like, what? That's ridiculous.
There's some things from I guess it was New York Toy Fair that I'm dying to see on store shelves. I can't wait to get more Halo loot.
Yeah.
Well, it's fun to see, Xbox, they did the fridge, right? The Xbox fridge. So it's fun to see that you guys pursuing those sorts of fun ideas. So I think that's a good teaser.
We might be talking to consumer electronics companies.
I love it.
Who have refrigerant technologies.
Right. Cool. Well, I think we'll wrap for there. We really appreciate your time, John. This has been fantastic. Yeah.
I'm we're so thrilled, and we're lucky to have you all, and I'm so excited that you're geeked out about it because it's awesome and it's a fun time. It's really exciting to just look forward. All the stuff's coming.
Right now it's the time. So I'm sure you guys. I know I sense confidence from your team, and I know that you guys are excited about it, and we're excited about it. So we all want to get to the end of the year.
Yeah. So, yes.
Yes. A couple more months to go.
just not yet. Cool.
Right.
All right. Well, seriously, thanks a ton. I really appreciate this opportunity. No joke. I mean, honestly, I feel incredibly lucky to get to do what I do, and that's in large part because of you all and the passion and energy that you guys bring. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, that will do it for our show. Thanks for joining Builds with Blocks. If you like the show, feel free to support Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolve.
Evolved.
John, you got to do it.
Evolved?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So lame. So lame. Can we cut that?